Hey, fellow Americans, I got interrupted in my last broadcast, so what I'm going to do is I'm just basically starting over. My name is Leslie Williams. I live in La Jolla, California, San Diego County. I'm a target victim and activist concerning the criminal expedition of what is known as organized stalking, which can also be termed as gang stalking. I make these videos to inform, to expose the truth, okay, and facts and knowledge and information pertaining to these horrific criminal realities. Now, if at any time as I'm making this video, if anybody starts congregating around me or coming on the property, will it be because of this crime? Okay. Now, I make these videos in this I utilize this Periscope account for 3 different reasons. Okay. One of them is to inform the public and my fellow target individuals about what I know and the information I've seen online concerning these crimes. I also use this Periscope account to make videos concerning things that have happened to me and to predict what might and how it may come about and who may be involved. I also am using this Periscope account to make a video series for lawyers. I've already made one of those videos dedicated to this account. So you can go to within the profile of this account to research that video and my statements within it so you can see what I detailed and why I am doing that. Now, my phone is hacked. It's also being tracked. All my descriptions that I state pertaining to my experiences and to the descriptions of what this crime does, okay, and who may be involved, can be Googled and when appropriate, YouTube. I do know this, fellow American citizens. We have to use our common sense. We can also use, utilize deductive and inductive reasoning, analytical processing, and common sense when it comes to, look, if you went to Google right now and typed in gang stalking and sensitization methods, and you bring up, and Google will generate to you millions of responses, we can utilize our common sense to think to ourselves, there's obviously something going on, because when you have individuals, human beings, creating blogs and exposing these methodologies of sensitization methods and gang stalking being exposed by millions of people, I would think that we can reasonably conclude that there's obviously something factually going on, right? So I made that statement so we can look at and see that when a person is describing a crime, and then you take those descriptions and you go to Google and you cross-reference them first to gang stalking and then in a separate search to organized stalking, and when you see the amount of Google-generated responses that come up, okay, and even at YouTube, you're going to say to yourself, you will probably conclude to yourself that how can all these different people who have never met, who have never communicated with each other in any way, shape, or form, in multiple cities, states, okay, and counties, all over the United States and even in other countries, are stating the same exact identical methodologies are being used against them if they're not. Okay? So, when you watch this video and you hear me disclose when you hear me disclose these descriptions that I state, we can at any time, if we feel inclined, we can research what I state and cross-reference the material that comes up per description. And I think then we can start to deconstruct how these horrific criminal realities are perpetrated covertly, overtly, and directly in order to achieve criminal motivations and objectives, and to cover up and protect their crimes, and who can be involved in all, in these criminal expeditions. So what I'm going to do in this video is this video is going to be like an addendum to the first video that I made pertaining to the video series for lawyers. If this video is not broadcasted within Periscope after I conclude it, if it's not saved in my gallery application so I can upload it to YouTube, I'm predicting that right now. Okay? My statements are being recorded right now on a tape recorder that I wear running on me and recording on me at all times. So I think that it will be prudent for anybody, I think that it would be reasonable for anybody to suspect that since GPS tracking of a target's cell phone and cell phone tracking and cell phone hacking and computer hacking and much more is a covert methodology of these perpetrators, that I think it's reasonable to conclude that maybe there might be some information that a target might be exposed and that they're not comfortable with being exposed. So I'm predicting that right now as well. All right, let me proceed to the subject matter of this video. In the first video that I made pertaining to the video series for lawyers, and now you can go into this account and look for the Periscope video that's got video series for lawyers in the title of it. You'll see why I am making a video series for lawyers. Okay, so I don't have to detail why I'm doing that. I left off in the first video pertaining to the video series for lawyers, talking about how some of the things that I experienced in the Dearborn Apartments on Monroe Street in Dearborn, Michigan, and how they made me homeless from it. I'll repeat that because of the background noise, and how they made me homeless from it. Now, I want you to listen to me very carefully. It's all over the internet that these criminal expeditions do create the homelessness of their victims. It's all over the internet. Because in order to then monopolize on the circumstances and the effects of the homelessness, okay, in order to bring about additional results and effects, so those results and effects can then be monopolized on in order to achieve criminal motivations, they obviously have to put the target in a circumstance where they can then monopolize on it in order to produce the results and the effects from the results, so then those effects can be monopolized on that bring the target closer to the exploitation. See, organized stalking and gang stalking is nothing but organized crime in the system at the federal, state, and local level. And I could care less about what any of these criminally insane maggots think about me exposing this. Absolutely not. Because the way I see it is, if you're comfortable enough with coming into my life, no matter if it's done covertly, directly, or overtly, then, well, welcome to it. And welcome to my response concerning it. Absolutely. Make no mistake about it. Hold on. So, I stated in my blog, if you come into my home, don't expect to leave comfortably. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, I think as a result, when you research, again, remember what I stated. At any time, you can Google and even YouTube when appropriate, my descriptions pertaining to the methodologies of these criminal realities. So you can see that they're factually occurring to thousands and thousands of victims all over America begging for help, and in other countries as well. So, organized stalking, which can also be termed as gang stalking, operates on a template of methods, tactics, protocols, maneuvers, and techniques in order to achieve their criminal motivations. But since they know they're breaking the law to do this, they prefer and are more comfortable with doing their template, of actions covertly, while dressing them up to make it appear that they're happening for, but not limited to, normal appearing reasons, excuses, and mishaps. Because they know they're breaking the law. Okay. So what they got to do is dress it up to make it appear that it's happening for normal appearing reasons, excuses, and mishaps. So they can apply plausible deniability to the criminal realities that are factually occurring towards the target individual. Now, I'm going to give you an example about this, and her PDF file was online for years, and now it's all of a sudden disappeared. I can't bring it up, so I don't know if you'll be able to, but I'm going to give you a fast example, and then I'm going to move forward. There was a woman by the name of Erica Dean Gilmore. She's in California. I don't know where she's at right now. She's missing because I don't see any updated information that she is exposing on the internet. In other words, she's not. So she's missing, meaning that she's probably already been trapped within this criminal reality, and they probably are achieving their criminal motivations towards her. Listen carefully. At any time, if this video abruptly stops before I say thank you for listening and have a good day, still research what I've stated so far. Erica Dean Gilmore had a documentation file, a PDF file, on the internet. She was a California target, and what they did with her in reference to how they made her homeless was they worked in conjunction with, because I have to state things carefully, did they work in conjunction with the landlord of the apartment complex? She was a single mother, okay? I don't know if she had one or more, she at least had one child. And what she stated that they did was she was in an apartment complex, and they flooded out the ceiling of her bathroom. And she then requested the landlord to fix it on multiple occasions, and he never would. Then the city inspector comes in and deems her apartment uninhabitable. Uninhabitable. Now, instead of fixing the flooded out ceiling of her bathroom, and instead of reorientating her to another apartment, she lost the apartment and became homeless. So what do we got here? Who flooded out her ceiling? Okay. Why didn't the landlord fix the ceiling? And why did the city inspector come in and then state that, okay, this is an uninhabitable apartment, instead of ordering the landlord to fix it and giving him a certain amount of days to do so, and then allowing her to stay there, or at least accommodating her until it was fixed? Remember what I stated. In this crime, they have to have normal appearing excuses, reasons, and mishaps. And I think it's obvious to deduce that if these were staged actions, that it was done to bring about an end result, to create the homelessness. Now, her PDF file, her documentation file, clearly stated, I remember, I read it probably at least 30 times over the last 5 years. Okay. Her documentation file flat out stated that after they created the homelessness of her, she then ended up going to motel rooms. She was gang stalked to motel rooms. Okay. And she experienced staged events there that made it almost impossible for her to live there with her daughter. She also stated they tried to suck her into prostitution. Okay. Now, she then went on to state that she applied for tenancy at other apartments, and that the prospective landlords of these places that she went to, one of them told her she went there, applied for tenancy, left, and then came back to check on it. And the landlord told her that a guy approached her and told him not to rent to her. So at any time we can research the YouTube video, Listen to a Stranger, which hundreds and hundreds of targets of this crime all over the nation are incorporating that YouTube video within their blogs in order to feature and showcase aspects of techniques of gang stalking crime. Now, that's not being exposed in hundreds and hundreds of blogs of the thousands and thousands of victims all over the country for no reason. It's being showcased in order to try and inform the public about some of the techniques of this crime pertaining to how individuals with a real badge or a fake one can influence individuals within the community to do things as a result of the influence that comes with a badge and a tailored lie. So at any time we can Google gang stalking and police, we can Google gang stalking and fake bogus criminal investigation files, and gang stalking and slander. So this prospective landlord was approached in order to influence him psychologically not to rent to her in order to keep the homelessness current. Now, if you got a child and you're a homeless mother, and then they try to suck her into prostitution, if they would have been successful in that, they then could have set her up for arrest to get a hold of the child, to put the child in foster care, to use that child for federal, state, and local funds. I think at any time we can always research Nancy Schaefer, who is a senator, and concerning how her and her husband were killed in Atlanta, Georgia, and what she was exposing. Absolutely. Fellow American citizens, there are massive RICO Act violations and racketeering schemes going on connected to gang stalking. Absolutely. And I strongly suggest we start thoroughly and extensively and exhaustively researching how group homes are owned by organized crime syndicates and how they're making victims homeless, claiming that then labeling them as a threat to themselves or others, mentally ill, or that cannot take care of themselves, so they can then be placed in a group home and then utilized and then treated as a straw person for federal, state, and local funds, massive insurance fraud, and human trafficking. At any time, we can go to YouTube and type in the YouTube video title, Stalked in San Antonio. These criminally insane animals will break into your own home and rape you. Okay, now, I'm going to give you some information right here. Pay close attention to my statements. You can go to my Twitter account, which is at HIGGINSGGGG. Exposing Truth is the name of the account. There's a blog attached to that account. When you go into that blog, you're going to notice some extremely sensitive issues, which I already know for a fact. that the government will never allow me to get out of this crime because of the nature of these sensitive issues. Absolutely. But when you go into that blog, you're not only going to witness this sensitive issue, but you're also going to pay attention to the Stockton San Antonio section of that blog. Okay. So, and I think then we will start to become aware of how long I have been a victim of this crime, and that blog indisputably facts that I am a current victim of this crime, ever since I came back to San Diego on August 8, 2011 from Connecticut. Okay, it shows me reporting that I'm being gang stalked to the University of Michigan campus police on January 20th, 2011. A video of it, an actual video of me going into the U of M Dearborn, Michigan campus safety office, and you clearly hear me state that I'm reporting it again. Now, when you deduce what's in that blog, you'll clearly be able to see, okay, that I was stating in Michigan in Google group posts that I'm experiencing identical harassment everywhere I go, every single day, at wooded areas, apartments, universities, businesses, libraries, okay, excuse me, and so on. Now, the blog indisputably proves that I'm being identically harassed to a T everywhere I go in San Diego, years later. It also shows a 2006 email that I made here in San Diego when I was out here in San Diego in 2006, between 1 and 38 days. Clearly, I made an email file at the Point Loma Library. It flat out shows that I was contacting a prosecutor in Wayne, Michigan, Kim Worthy, from the Point Loma Library. I flat out stated that I was tortured in Michigan. I flat out stated that check around the Point Loma Library. You never know what you may hear. And then I mentioned verbal cues, because back then I didn't know what was occurring to me was gang stalking. But verbal cues meant me experiencing identical verbal harassment everywhere I was at, everywhere I went in San Diego in 2006. Okay. Now and then the Stockton San Antonio section of my blog flat out shows not only this 2006 email, but also shows a 2008 email, and both of those emails got identical to a T descriptions that I made pertaining to experiences from San Diego, experiences I experienced in Michigan, including in apartments that were identical to a T, word for word, pertaining to the testimony of those two women from the Stockton San Antonio news broadcast that's on YouTube right now, and an additional statement that is identical to a T pertaining to the YouTube video that you can go to right now when you get done watching this video, of that's titled "San Diego Mother Thinks She's a Victim of Community Stalking." So I strongly suggest when you go into that blog for you to pay attention to the Stockton San Antonio, okay, section of that blog, which there are at least 3 or 4 parts in that blog where I introduce it, but I'm talking about the main one that shows the Ken 5 PDF link, which is the 2006 and 2008 email. All right, now, and the transcript of that Stockton San Antonio news broadcast. Hold on. Now, that blog clearly exposes, indisputably, me being gang stalked all over Michigan for years on end, every day, everywhere I went. It flat out exposes me being gang stalked to at least 4 to 5 apartments, made homeless from each of them. Absolutely, indisputably. I mean, it's literally in your face, black and white. It's literally that clear. In other words, it's completely indisputable. Okay? It also indisputably proves that I've been gang stalked along every single one of my routes, every single day, including to over 25 hiking areas here in San Diego since August 8, 2011. Indisputably. Now, U of M, Michigan is 3,000 miles away from San Diego. I think that anybody in their right mind would think to themselves, if the police won't investigate what's happening to me, even though I got all this massive, indisputable evidence, then they're obviously not doing anything for me for a reason. So at any time, we can Google gang stalking and police and how they're exposed by thousands and thousands of victims all over the internet. So, you know, as a result, I am literally being intentionally trapped in this criminal reality and victimization every day. And you would not believe other things that are occurring to me that I cannot openly state because I can't prove. And it's all over the internet that these absolute criminally insane animals that perpetrate these criminal realities are infested in the courts. Their own manifesto states it, which you can go to by Going to Google and typing in the GangStalking tech, everything you need to know. Okay, it flat out states that the favorite place to trap a target is the courts. Okay, so I think that this would automatically tell us that it's organized crime in the system. Okay, so if we cannot get help from police, if our district attorneys and our state attorney generals are compromised and corrupted, if the courts are, and you can't even trust lawyers nowadays, absolutely. There's many reasons why a law firm or a lawyer will not help a targeted individual. When they start realizing the magnitude of this crime, they're going to say to themselves, I'm aware that the government will spend me to death in court until they break me, and then the case will still fall on its lap in reference to nothing getting done. Because the courts are completely controlled by these criminal realities. Absolutely. What did I encompass within the title of this Periscope video? It's a YouTube, it's a website link, surveillanceissues.com. Now, when you type that in at Google and bring up what's on their website, I strongly suggest, in the most strongest language that a human being can use, is for you to dissect that blog, every last bit of it. Everything that's in the features at the bottom of it, the links that are at the bottom of it, everything that's exposed in it within reference to the names of technologies. And why is it all over the internet that GangStalking victims are being used for non-consensual human experimentation, including with military applications? Which encompasses torture. So you can also go to YouTube and type in OSEH bioethics issues. OSEH stands for Organized Stalking Electronic Harassment. Bioethics issues, you're going to see hundreds of videos that come up of targeted individuals of this crime testifying before the bioethics committee in at least 3 separate calendar years. Okay, and every single one of them are going to disclose about how they're being tortured, experimented on, and a lot of them will state that they're being stalked and or subject to either gang stalking, organized stalking, COINTELPRO, cause stalking, group stalking. It's all the same, because the gang stalking and organized stalking goes by several names. Okay, so do you honestly think for 1 second that the government will ever admit to even one case that they're experimenting on any gang stalking victim? Because when they do, that case, which will then be won, becomes a precedent for other targets. Thousands, okay, can use that case as a precedent in their court proceedings. You understand? Now we're talking about, why is it all over the internet that thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon thousands and so on and so on and so on of us fellow Americans experiencing these horrific criminalities day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, every day, including when we sleep? Do you really think that any government's ever going to admit to what they're doing? Of course not. The main perpetrators of this crime are hiding behind the police. Absolutely. Because when we look at what composes the United States, it's a bunch of states united together, and each targeted individual is living within their dedicated jurisdictions within the communities of the states that they're living in. Each community has a law enforcement agency. That targeted individual is tracked in real time at all times in order to know where they're at, in order to perpetrate the criminal realities that they're experiencing. So therefore, they got to make sure that the target gets no legal assistance that's uncorrupted. And this is where the police come in at. But make no mistake about it, the states and local governments are also making money off the target, because there's hundreds and hundreds of criminal motivations attached to these criminal realities. If this crime was only involved in, let's just say, human experimentation, that's one crime. But if it's involved in stolen car rings, identity theft, insurance fraud, human trafficking, prostitution rings, massive RICO Act violations, land co-opting, property co-opting, mortgage co-opting, land co-opting, you name it. Any crime that you can think of, these criminally insane animals are involved in. Absolutely. So, if they're involved in these crimes and none of them are being prosecuted, then we have to think to ourselves, who has the influence to make sure none of them are prosecuted? Then when we turn around and we look at how None of the victims, how the victims are being prosecuted and set up in court. I think it's reasonable to deduce that, well, it takes physical human beings to do what they're doing to targets in courts. Judges, prosecutors, doctors, okay, contracted through the county or city or not, doctors in area neighborhood hospitals, county mental health, even private psychiatrists and psychologists can be brought on board in these campaigns. So, fellow American citizens, when we look at the resulting powerlessness that the victim is kept in, I think it's reasonable to say to ourselves that we, as Americans, have a right to then do what we have to do, all legally, okay, to expose the fact that these criminally insane animals are covertly managing this and creatively perpetrating it in order to apply plausible deniability to all actions brought about against the target, including even blaming targets for events, okay, and then using the courts to continue the vilification of the target. It is my goal to use them against them, just like they attempt to use a target against themselves. I do this through, but not limited to, predicting what these wild, criminally insane animals will do before they do it, like the MTS assault video that's online right now at YouTube, of me being brutally assaulted on an MTS bus. Who's got the power to influence a public transportation service that has federal oversight to alter an MTS assault video? Who can walk up off the street and walk into the San Diego Police Department Eastern Division and tell them to falsify the police report concerning that assault? Do you really honestly think that it's a couple idiots that are involved in loosely connected organized crime, street crime? Do you really think that they got the power to walk into MTS and say, you need to alter this assault video for us? Do you really think that any loosely knitted together street crime has got the ability to walk into a police station and say, we need you to falsify this police report so we can use that and use it as a adjacent how it will complement the fact that it steers the knowledge away and gives us plausible deniability that this was a staged assault, and the fact that we covered it up through altering the video. Okay, the alteration of the video and the falsified police report were meant to work hand in hand, is what I'm trying to say. So we obviously conclude just by that itself that the government is involved in this. Okay. So, fellow American citizens, I do what I do to inform and expose the truth. I predicted that assault in the email file 11 days before it occurred. I not only predicted the assault, but I also predicted where it would occur at. I also predicted in my tape recorder before I boarded that bus. I said, something's going on here because of the fact that they steered me to another bus location to catch the bus route that I had already got on. The sign on the bus said Fashion Valley. I get on the bus, and it starts going down the road, and all of a sudden it turns into the Kearney Mesa bus route. When I noticed that it was going in the wrong direction, I said, what's going on? They said, well, you're on the Kearney Mesa bus. Bullshit. I was on the Fashion Valley bus. I know what I saw on that sign. I wouldn't have boarded it. So they tell me to get off at the bus and go to another bus stop so I can catch the Fashion Valley bus. So I did that, and as I'm waiting at that bus stop, I made a statement in my tape recorder. Let's see if anything happens to me while I'm at this bus stop. And let's see if I'm assaulted in any way, shape, or form, and let's see if anything happens on this bus I'm about to board. And within 10 minutes after me boarding it, I'm brutally assaulted. So I not only predicted it in an email file 11 days before it occurred, but I also predicted it in my tape recorder right before boarding that bus. I don't know about you, but when you take that factual reality and the fact that I also predicted 6 other assaults here in San Diego, absolutely. I think that all of us can reasonably conclude that I know how these filthy maggots think. Therefore, I predict what they're going to do before they do it. I fold everything that they do that I predict onto everything else that they've done that I predicted. And then in time, I'm going to prove that this is being covertly managed, covertly protected, okay? And where crimes have happened to me at, like UCSD, 2 Starbucks locations, at least 2 libraries. You just would not believe what I have been through, and you would not believe what I'm going through. So, in closing, I do not do drugs. I do not drink. I do not sleep around. I do not steal, and I do not hang around anybody at all in any way, shape, or form. I do not hang around anybody and have not associated myself personally with not one person since I've been in San Diego since August 8, 2011. Not one person. At the acquaintance level, the friendship level, the intimate level, at any level. Because I already know the way they infiltrated my life in Michigan. I already know that that's part of how GangStalking operates. Like, why can you Google GangStalking and intimate infiltration, GangStalking and family infiltration? Do you honestly think that when you research my blog and you see how long my life has been affected because of this crime, that I haven't learned from it? Absolutely. Okay? So understand this and be clear. What I do is throw these maggots into each other by proving the stalking, which in turn proves the collusion and the conspiracy, and then the obstruction of justice pertaining to the police, the courts, the prosecutors, the public defenders. I strongly suggest you go to that blog. Now, I do what I do because I am the victim here. I am the target. This gives me the divine right to do everything that I have to do, and everything I do is legal, to protect myself and to expose what's happening to me in every aspect of my life. It's my right. It's my right. It's literally my right as a human being. God-given rights. Okay? Absolutely. Absolutely. I make no apologies for everything that I expose and who I expose, because I don't expose anybody that has not perpetrated anything against me. I have no reason to do it. Okay? So, flat out, I strongly suggest you go to that blog and research the heinous criminal realities that have happened to me. And what's in that blog is nothing concerning the evidence I'm carrying on my person, and it's nothing concerning what's actually happened to me. You would not believe the crimes that have happened to me, and I'm still enduring every day. You just would not believe it. I'm never going to stop, ever. Ever. Up until my last breath, I will never stop exposing this crime. Ever. Ever. No matter what. Okay, fellow American citizens, so I was going to talk a little bit about what occurred in that last apartment that I was in Dearborn, Michigan, pertaining to the Dearborn Apartments on Monroe Street, but I obviously got a little bit sidetracked into these details. So I'm going to eventually probably make another video today. I'm going to upload this to YouTube. Let's see if this doesn't get broadcasted through this Periscope account. Let's see if it's not saved in my gallery application, so I can then upload the video to YouTube, and I'll make another video later on today. I do appreciate you listening. And by the way, there's at least 3 videos in this Periscope account of me catching in live broadcast individuals standing 10 feet away from me saying, "Suck my dick." On the mornings that was caught, I made predictions in my tape recorder that it would be caught. I obviously had a reason to make those predictions on those mornings. Getting around me and repeating "suck my dick" and "gangstalk" and "oh my god" and "gangstalk" and "gangstalk weird", "gangstalk crazy", "gangstalk suck my dick", okay, is how they intentionally, mentally let me know that I'm being gangstalked every day. It's one of the main ones. That and getting around me and repeating physical gestures everywhere I go. And specific sounds. These are all in reference to sensitization techniques of gangstalking, which can be Googled. There's 3 videos in this Periscope account, live broadcast with no titles in them, that literally show individuals standing right on the other side of this wall saying "suck my dick", and then later on in the conversation they say "gangstalk". Every 3 one of those videos, 3 separate dates, I made statements in my tape recorder earlier in the day that it would be caught, at least on my tape recorder. Okay, I heard them approaching the area, so I turned on the Periscope, started the live broadcast, and they are in this account. Now, those 3 videos alone show I was telling the truth pertaining to how I'm being stalked to wooded areas. Absolutely. And in closing, you'll see in the blog that I sent an email to the San Diego Police Department stating that I was experiencing that at Ross Grocery Store off of La Jolla Village Square Drive in either June or July 2016. I literally stated that people are getting around me and saying "suck my dick" and "gangstalk" inside a Ross Grocery Store off of La Jolla Village Square Drive. And then I catch it here in live broadcast through Periscope. So go into this Periscope account and look for the live broadcasts that have no video, that have no title on them, and listen for what I'm stating is being said. Okay? Especially the one around May 17th. Gotta get San Diego, California. My name is Jesse Williams. Understand, I know the perpetrators are cyber surveillance, gangstalking victim cyber activity. So make sure you understand this. If you are cyber surveilling my internet activity, I flat out don't give 2 shits who you are. Absolutely. You came into my life, so don't expect to leave. Okay? Don't expect to leave, because I will use you in every way that I can imagine legally. to expose that you're in it. Have a good day, everybody. Thank you for listening.